Hello and welcome to my Sitecore Diaries, your ultimate guide to digital experience excellence. I'm your host Jitendra Ghanekar and I'm excited to kick off a brand new video series, React Fundamentals and Beyond. Today we will explore why React has become such a popular choice for developers around the globe. Then we will explore React's component-based architecture, how it is a game changer in building dynamic user interface. Then we will move on to single page application. We will see what is single page application and then the magic of virtual DOM. Then finally we will touch to JSX, a React unique syntax that combines JavaScript with HTML. So whether you are new to React or looking to polish your skills, stick around. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and join our community for the latest updates and more exciting contents. So let's start our exciting journey of React. In our last video, we covered React versus Next.js and explored React's features. You can find that video through the link in the I button or in the description. In this video, we will dive into the details of component-based architecture, single-page architecture, virtual DOM, and JSX. But the first, let's see why React is popular among developers and business users. We are going to see this from the developer perspective and the business perspective. So first of all, let's see developer perspective. React offers several key advantages. Component-based architecture. This promotes reusability and modularity, making the code easier to manage. Then we have a virtual DOM. It optimizes the performance by efficiently updating only the part of the page that change. Then we have a flexibility and ecosystem. React boosts strong community support and extensive interoperability with other tools and libraries. Then we have a learning curve and skill transfer. So skill learned in the React are transferable to other frameworks, making a valuable investment for developers. And the fifth point is the support for modern features. So React includes features like hooks and concurrent rendering that enhance the functionality and performance. So these are the top 5 reasons why developers preferred the React one. Let's see now what business perspective what it adds the advantages. Cost effective development. Cost is very important business point of view. Its efficiency and reusability help reduces the development cost. Then we have a improved performance UX. React ensure a fast responsive interface enhancing the user experience. Then we have a cross-platform capability. React works well across the different platforms, ensuring a wider reach, wide availability of the resources. So there are abundant resources and tools available for developers with React. So there are a lot of availability of the different resources are available, and also the number of resources available in the market is also very high. So wide availability of the resources, the documentations and things makes and the community, that is also very important aspect. Improved performance and UX. Its performance optimization lead to the better overall user satisfaction. That is another reason. So as you can see, React offers significant benefits for both the developers and the business, and that makes it more popular choice for building a modern web application. Component-based architecture. Let's take an example of a page that includes header, footer, banner and CTA blocks. So in a component based architecture, we can divide this page into multiple reusable components. The header, the footer, the banner, the CTAs can be considered as an individual component that can be integrated into the page, and this is what component based development means. So component-based architecture involves building a software using reusable components, each with a specific functionality and well-defined interfaces, promoting modularity, flexibility, and reusability. So modularity, flexibility, and reusability is a key in the component-based architecture. let's go through the core principle of component-based architecture. First is the modularity. It divides the system into reusable components, each with a specific functionality and well-defined interface. So let's take an example like a banner. You can divide this banner as a reusable component which has a specific functionality and you can build separately also. Then we have a abstraction. It hides the complex details within the component and expose only essential interfaces to simply use and promote the loose coupling. So it provides the abstraction layer also, which hides your complexity and promotes the loose coupling. Then encapsulation. Components should encapsulate the data and behavior, ensuring information hiding and reducing dependency. The component should encapsulate data and behavior, ensuring the information hiding and reducing the dependency. So encapsulation is also core principle of a component-based architecture. Reusability. This is very important with respect to the component-based architecture, because the components like banner or a CTA black can be used on the multiple places. So it is a reusable components. So reusability designs a reusable component for various part of the application or other project to save the development time and ensures consistency. And last is the separation of a concern. So divide the system into the components by distinct responsibilities like UI, data access, business logic to enhance the maintainability and readability. So separation of a concern is a very important. It divides the system into components by distinct responsibilities. Okay, so UI can be separate, data access can be separate, business logic can be separate. On top of that, if you have a different component altogether, so banner is separate, CTA is separate, footer is separate. So every component has its own responsibility, and it makes the code more maintainable and readable. Now let's take an real-time example in the React. So we can create a header component, footer component and the contain component, okay, with a reusable and maintainable React code. You can see that this is your header component, this is your footer component, this is the contain component. Then in app.js we can add those components to create a page. So if you see here, we have a header, contain and footer in the app.js. Okay, so don't worry about the code, syntax and app.js things. Okay, we will deep dive into those later in the series, but right now I'm just giving an example that you can break down your component into multiple components, your page into the multiple components. Here you can see header, footer and content are a different components that is getting integrated on the app.js to render the header, content and the footer. When you look at this code, you will see the principles we discussed in the last slide. Modularity, reusability and separation of a concern. You can also utilize the abstraction and encapsulation concept to achieve the better maintainable code. This concept is similar to what we implement in Sitecore. If you want to learn more about Sitecore component-based architecture, I will share the link to our video in the description. Feel free to check out that also. So in the React, there are two main types of component. First is the functional components and second is the class component. So let's talk about functional components first. Functional components are JavaScript function that returns the React elements, and they are often called as the stateless components because they don't manage their own state using the keyword like this. Okay. So they utilize React hooks for a state and lifecycle management, and they are simpler, easier to read, and have become the standard way to write a component. So functional components are JavaScript function that returns React elements. They are simpler, easier to read, and have become the standard way to write a component, especially since the introduction of the React hooks. So here are some key points about functional components. First is they are the JavaScript functions. Second is the state management is handled using hooks such as a useState. Third is the lifecycle methods are managed using hooks like useEffect. They offer a concise and modern syntax. They are slightly faster and more optimized compared to class component. Their preferred choice in modern React development. So you can say functional components are a modern way of writing components in React. Now let's talk about the class component. So these are the ES6 classes that extend the React component base classes. These were the primary way to write a component that needed to manage state or a lifecycle method before hooks were introduced. So before hooks were introduced, this is the way the class components are the ways how we write the code, which uses the React.component as a base class. So key feature here is it ES6 classes. They are ES6 classes. State management is handled using the state. Lifecycle methods are managed using class lifecycle methods. They have more verbose syntax. They're slightly slower compared to the functional component, and they are less commonly used now. So these are the two basic type of React component, functional components and class component. You can say the modern way you use a functional component and the old way you use a class component. We will go more detail when we will actually work on the components. So actually start writing the code. Okay. So for now, remember there are two type of components: functional component, class component. One is the modern way where you use the hooks, and another way is the class component. Old way which uses the lifecycle methods, and it uses a ES6 class. Let's talk about single page application now. So as a user, you make a request in the initial load. You make a request or browse your page on the browser like Google Chrome, and that request goes to your server where the actual code logic get executed, and it returns the response, and that response is rendered on the browser. Then again you might do some activity like you click on about us, click again, the same thing happens. You send a request, it goes to the server, it returns the response, and it is rendered on the browser. So this is how a multi-page application works. In contrast, for a single page application there won't be a round trip for each navigation. During the first request, all necessary assets such as the JavaScript, CSS, whatever required for the application is get downloaded. Then after that, the any interaction on the page do not trigger a full page reload, as all the files which are already available in the client browser. So this is how single page application works. So single page application is a web application that loads a single HTML page and dynamically updates the content as per the user interacts with the app. So there will not be any round trip, and no page will not get refreshed in the single page application. Now let's discuss the key advantage of the single page application. First up is the dynamic content loading. In a single page application, only the necessary part of the page are re-rendered, and this reduces the load time and significantly improves the performance, making your application faster and more efficient. Then we have a seamless user experience. Since there are no full page reloads, navigation within the app feels smoother and faster. User enjoys a more fluid and responsive interaction with the application. And lastly, client-side routing. The SPA typically uses a React router to manage the navigation between different views or pages within the app. This allows the efficient and dynamic routing without needing to reload the entire page. So dynamic content loading, seamless user experience, and client-side routing. So these features make single page application a powerful choice for building modern high performance web application. Now let's see DOM. So first of all, we'll see what is real DOM, virtual DOM, and React DOM. So let's start with the real DOM, also known as the browser DOM. The DOM stands for Document Object Model, and it's a structured representation of HTML in a web page or application. It represents the entire user interface as a tree data structure, which allows us to manipulate and interact with the content programmatically. As you can see in the tree diagram, the structure starts with the window, then it's followed by document, then the HTML, and then branching out to head, body, then corresponding their child element like script, du, h1, p1 tag, du, head is getting into meta tag, lead, title, link. So this is how your tree structure defines. Okay, so that is your DOM. Now let's talk about a virtual DOM. The virtual DOM is an in-memory representation of the real DOM used by the React to optimize the performance. So it is the in-memory representation, like whatever you are seeing in the DOM, so that will be created in the memory. When there are changes are made into the UI, the virtual DOM updates first, and it then calculates the most efficient way to update the real DOM, ensuring the better performance, smoother user experience by minimizing the direct manipulation. There will not be any direct manipulation. We will see that process later. And lastly, we have the React DOM. So React DOM is a library that acts as an interface between React components and the browser's real DOM. So it facilitates the efficient updates and rendering. So React DOM ensures that changes in the virtual DOM are seamlessly reflected in the real DOM, providing a robust and efficient way to manage UI updates in the React application. So let's dive into why the virtual DOM is a game changer for a web development. First is the abstraction layer. First, let's understand what the virtual DOM is. The virtual DOM is a memory representation of the real DOM. It mirrors the structure and the content of the real DOM but doesn't directly render on the screen. Then there is the efficient updates. Now, why is this important? When changes occur in a React application like user interaction or a data updates, React updates the virtual DOM first. Then there is called diffing algorithm. It React uses a diffing algorithm to compare the new virtual DOM with the previous version. This process also known as a reconciliation. We are going to see this process in the next slide. It calculates the minimal set of changes needed to update the real DOM. Then we have a batch updates. The changes are then batched together and applied in one go, reducing the number of updates reflows in the real DOM. This leads to a better performance and smoother user experience. Then we have a component-based architecture. So the virtual DOM works seamlessly with the React's component-based architecture, allowing for a modularity and the reusable code. So these are these are the features of a virtual DOM which helps you. Three main benefits. Okay, so to sum up, the virtual DOM provides the three key benefits. One is the performance. So it optimizes the rendering process. Second is the optimization. So it optimizes the rendering. It minimizes the direct manipulation to the real DOM. So it optimizes the process. And this simplified development. It works well with React's component-based architecture, making development easier. So this process will help you to improve the performance, to optimize the process and simplify the development. Now let's visualize the virtual DOM update process. So you have a virtual DOM. When a component state or a properties change, the React updates the virtual DOM first, and these steps reflect the changes within the virtual DOM without affecting the real DOM immediately. So then we have a diffing process. So it compares the updated virtual DOM with its previous version. This comparison identifies the minimal set of changes needed to update the real DOM. So if you see here, this is your previous version of virtual DOM, this is a new virtual DOM, and you have two updates here. Next, the batch update. These necessary updates are together. So batching reduces the number of updates to the actual DOM, minimizing the performances impact and ensuring the efficient rendering. So finally, these batch updates are applied to the real DOM. This step ensures that the actual user interface reflects the latest state changes efficiently and accurately. This entire sequence which you are seeing on the screen, from state change to updating the real DOM, is known as a reconciliation process. Okay, so this complete process is known as a reconciliation process. It allows React to manage updates efficiently, providing the smooth and good user experience. So this understanding this process is very important and crucial. So if you see in this diagram where you have a this is the old virtual DOM. So if there is any state change, then it does it that it compare the new virtual DOM is created, and then it compares that what is changed. Like here, these two things are changed. Okay, then there is a update batches is happening. So patch update is happening. It's not updating individual nodes, but it updating the batch wise. Okay, so here are two or things. So two things are getting updated here. Okay, so and then that is getting updated on the browser DOM. So this is how your reconciliation process is happening. So this is how virtual DOM works. Now let's move to the last topic of the day, that is JSX. So JSX is basically combination of a JavaScript and XML. JSX is a syntax extension for JavaScript that allows us to write HTML-like code directly within the JavaScript. So as you can see on the slide, this one, the JSX code, JSX make it easier to create a React element and build the component. So let's compare with the normal JavaScript code. So if you see here, this is your JSX code, and here you are simply writing your HTML hello world, whereas in the JavaScript you are using react.create HTML create element, and you are creating a div with h1 tag and the text as a hello. So if you compare visually also, you will see that the this code, the JSX code, is very simple and very easy to read also. So in summary, if you see on the left hand side, we have a JSX code which looks very similar to HTML and it's clear and intuitive. On the right hand side, we have the equivalent code written in the plain JavaScript using react.createElement, and it's more verbose and harder to read. So JSX offers several advantages. First is the improved readability and syntax. So JSX makes the code more readable and easier to understand, especially for those familiar with HTML. Then we have an enhanced developer experience. Combining the power of JavaScript with the structure of HTML creates a seamless coding experience. Then we have an easier debugging. JSX provides a better error messages and warning, helping to identify the issues quickly. Increase productivity. Writing components with JSX is quicker and more efficient, boosting overall productivity. Better integration with tools. So JSX works well with the development tools, offering features like syntax highlighting, auto completion easily. Okay, while JSX is not a mandatory to use with React, okay, it certainly makes the writing React application easier and more efficient. Now if you can see this to code itself, you will, as a developer, you will surely prefer JSX because it is easy and very easy to understand. It's intuitive code. Okay, so this is what JSX is. We will go in detail syntax and other things when we will go into the code, but for now JSX, understand that JSX is the syntax which will help you to write HTML like code in the JavaScript. So if you have not seen the what are the React feature is, please watch the last video. From that where we just touch the features. Now from that video we have seen the virtual DOM in detail. We have seen JSX, that is JavaScript XML, and the component based architecture in this video. So as we move on in this series, we will explore the other features of the Reacts also, and then we will move to the code part where we will create the React code. So then we will have a walkthrough on that. Thank you for joining me in this video on my Sitecore Diaries. We have covered some exciting topic today, including why React is a popular choice, its component-based architecture, single-page application, the virtual DOM, and JSX. Next up, we will further deep dive into more React concept, features, and finally we will touch how to write a code in the React with some examples. So stay tuned with me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, My Sitecore Diaries. Hit that like button and share this video with your friends and colleagues. Your support helps us grow and continue bringing your quality content. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.